Our guest tonight. I wrote this, so you're going to want to hear it. Is a self-taught multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and singer whose influences include everything from the classical masters to Frank Zappa, Nick Cave, John Martin, the Deftones, and Nine Inch Nails. By age 22, he was busking around Los Angeles, and after auditioning for American Idol, his video Out Loud became a viral smash. He showcased his original material during his run on American Idol and proceeded to sell out his first acoustic tour. Since then, he's headlined a 30-city full band tour and will shortly be off to Europe. He's here tonight following the release last fall of his debut album entitled Exit Form. Give it up for Scarypoolparty. All right, well, somebody's excited to see you. Thank you. So first of all, thank you for coming down and doing this.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So, the first thing that strikes me about all of this is this has to be somewhat of a whirlwind for you.
Yeah.
I mean, here you were, busking to American Idol, to acoustic tour, full band tour, and now shortly you're going to Europe. Yeah. So tell me where your head's at. Like, are you kind of getting into the groove of being a working musician?
Yeah, I mean, before even like the show, and I even auditioned for anything, I was a working musician. I used to play for a band called Twin Shadow, and then before that, I was just gigging around town in LA, trying to just get my feet in the water and just to see where the music thing could take me. So it's definitely a change of lifestyle, of course, from going from being a struggling musician, working like 3 jobs, trying to figure out your songwriting, trying to figure out your playing ability, finding practice time and everything, to all of a sudden being in this space where you can do all that and be comfortable with the environment that you create for yourself and try to figure out exactly where to take it now. So I feel like now it's definitely a change of lifestyle. Yeah. Not so much of like a whirlwind, because I love playing in front of people, and I love performing and busking, and playing bars and everything was a part of my vocabulary. Yeah. Because I just love it, and I love expressing myself live. So I think now it's just a change, because now instead of playing with somebody or playing for a band, I am playing my own music.
Doing your thing. Yeah.
Which doesn't come like that quick if you're trying to be an artist, because you've got to
pay your dues.
Got to pay your dues.
That's cliche, but it's true. I don't want to spend a lot of time on Idol, but the one thing about Idol and the experience that you had on it, if I'm to understand correctly, you played your own songs.
Yeah.
You did not, 99% of the people who've been on Idol do covers.
Yeah.
But you made it very clear you're going to play your own music. Why was that important to you?
I think it was important for me because it was such a big step, and I knew what that step was. Being on television and you play in front of a different kind of audience. When you're playing in Silver Lake, you're playing some kind of bar, you're going to get people at the bar drinking with their friends, and those people will not really gravitate towards your music, or they'll be really kind of like dead straight, like they're either about it or they're just going to ignore you. Yeah. And so when you play in front of like a TV audience going into it, it was it's just a different kind of thing when you're feeding your music into the internet, rather than playing it from a live space and organically kind of playing in front of an audience, and then new people are showing up to your gig, and it naturally grows. So this big jump.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
I mean that is a real leap. Both in terms of kind of what you have to deliver as a performer, but also having a certain level of confidence in your songs.
Yeah. I mean, I like any artist, I definitely struggle with the confidence in knowing what really works. You know, because I love a bunch of styles, and I love noise rock.
Yeah.
I love noise music. I love synthesizer music. I love orchestral stuff, and so I think going on TV and just playing one side, as far as just playing acoustic music, I kind of knew like this is what sounds good to my ear. Let me just see if people really gravitate towards it, and they did, which was completely amazing. And it,
did the producers at all try to talk you out of playing your own music?
Yeah, actually, during the filming process, it's because they're making a TV show, and they want you to play within that,
right?
Just like
and I'm sure they know, air quotes here. They know what works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just like LA, the entertainment business. Like everyone knows what works, but no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like what the hell?
Yeah. Everybody knows what works, but nobody knows what will be successful.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ultimately, you played I think 7 of your own songs on the show, but there were a couple of covers that you did that were, to me, really amazing and out of the box. And one, well, you did Drake's "One Dance," cool, but the Jefferson Airplane "White Rabbit."
Yeah. Jefferson Airplane is dope.
Yeah. As someone of my age, thank you very much for saying
They're so dope.
Who can actually remember the Jefferson Airplane. But what you did with that song it is remarkable. First of all, tell me when you first heard that song. How did you come to know that song?
It's kind of like that old school tune that like friends would play, because I grew up started out growing up in Baldwin Park, and then I moved to Pomona at a young age.
Yeah.
But so I like Jefferson Airplane. There's such an experimental band. I've always been interested in them.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get into them until I was about, like 18, 19 years old. Before that, I think I heard it. My friend had like a little mixtape that his dad made him.
Of course.
It goes around like that.
Of course.
But Jefferson Airplane.
You should hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kicking.
Yeah. But what you did with it, you turned it into this sort of whole gothic industrial, kind of thing. Tell me how that came about. How did you bring those elements to that song?
Well, the song itself, how I approach covers, for that show, because I never played covers before, was I don't want to take something that's so unique already, and like the recording wise and all that stuff, I don't want to take their song and try to play it exactly like them, because that song, in particular, in the way they recorded everything, sounds perfect the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so my approach has always been like, let me try my best to kind of like interpret what it means to me. And so what it means to me for the lyrics, what it means to me for the melody, or like the beat, or how it makes me feel. And so that song, you're kind of like in a dream state in the original recording.
Yeah.
Like the bass line is mostly the one driving the force, and then vocally, I can't sing like that. So, it just took a different kind of feel for me, and that's how I did it.
What does it, you mentioned that you had not done covers previously. What does a song have to even attract your ear to think that, oh, I can do something with this?
I don't really know. I think because I love music in general, and there's certain songs that have memories in my mind that kind of hold to happiness, sadness. Mm-hmm. When you're in a deep state of depression, sometimes that song can get you out of it. Yeah. And so that's how I approach picking those covers, because I really don't play covers, because I just love. I rather listen to hear myself play a song of that song. I'd rather just put on the recording.
Yeah. I wasn't entirely truthful, I will say, in my introduction, in that you did have some music lessons. I think you had piano lessons when you were a little kid. Is that true?
Yeah, not really. I hated piano.
Yeah,
and I hated. My parents were very. I don't know. I love my parents, but you know, as to all of you do, love your parents. I just really didn't want to do music. I didn't want to play music, and you know, any kind of art or anything that truly was expression. Like I didn't want to do it. I felt scared. I felt kind of like suppressed, and I just didn't want to do it. Yeah, it was really, you know.
But you eventually came back around to it, obviously. But there was an incident, and you've talked about this. But I'm interested in the result and kind of what happened afterwards. You were working in a warehouse or something, and there was some kind of accident where you almost lost your hand or some such thing.
So I worked for like Walmart, a Walmart warehouse job, and I don't really want to talk about it because it was scary, but I got my hand got into the conveyor belt, and I was wearing a long sleeve, and it caught onto my long sleeve, and it pulled it in, and the machine stopped, thankfully, and pulled it out, and it was the scariest moment of my life. And then I went back to my van, which I was driving at the time, and I was just crying because I was like, as life goes on, you work jobs just to earn money to pursue the things that you want to do. Sure. And at that moment, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And music was always something that I wanted to pursue. And so I kind of like, put it together, and it took a couple weeks to figure it out, but I was like, I want to get back into music.
And at some point you found a love and real appreciation for classical music.
Yeah.
Tell me because I wouldn't if I just met you on the street, I'm not sure that knowing your history here a little bit, say, well, classical music was the thing.
Yeah. My mom used to put on Mozart when I was a kid to get me to calm down. Yeah. Huh. And so she would always be playing classical music, and it would keep me in a calm state. So I think classical music has always been in my head, and I've always appreciated it because it really does calm you.
Yeah. A particular composer or composers that?
Yeah, she would play Mozart, Chopin, Bach, all the classics, all the OG, pop stars.
That's the real OG.
That's the real OG.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
And I read a quote of yours as you were starting to develop kind of your songwriting, your sound a little bit, that you wanted to present music in the way that you had fallen in love with it.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It's almost like naturally wanting to, I want to put everything that I do into life in an organic way, and I don't want to force things. I came into that at a kind of not at a young age, but when I started getting out of my teens, being homeschooled and being living up in Pomona, which is a crazy city. I've been jumped twice in Pomona, walking to a gig. I've been, it's not a safe city.
Yeah,
it's not. Sorry. The
Pomona Convention Visitors
the Pomona
Bureau
Convention's
is here this evening. So.
I've been, going through life, and like when I started gigging, like, grew up in the city that I grew up in, you kind of playing bar gigs and playing all this stuff that I started with, kind of like naturally put me in this space of like why I'm doing it. Like I've been legit jumped in Pomona by people, and it sucked. You guys are laughing, but it sucked. But I'm willing to put my life down to play music because it puts me in a place where I'm happy, And there's a lot of, like honestly, there's a lot of things that in terms of fear that pushes people down, especially artists and a lot of things. But, for me, like that fear was a driving force. And I just didn't care where I played, where I did it. And it was naturally kind of, putting me in this headspace where I just wanted to play music, and I loved it,
You can say this about a number of things, but I think you could safely say it about music. There are a lot of destructive forces in the world, and you obviously met some of them in Pomona. music is a constructive force.
100%.
You know, whether it's for you as a performer or as a writer, or whether it's for those who are listening. You know, this is something constructive and something we can all celebrate.
Yep.
When did you start writing songs?
I say when I turned like 20, 21, I really started trying to write music. Yeah, I'm not good with lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
really.
Yeah, like really. I'm.
Do you struggle? Is that the part you struggle with?
I struggle 120%. I struggle with reading. I struggle with laughing because I'm dumb. Hell yeah. But that, you know, like I'm not good. I'm not good with lyrics. And I'm not good with learning. For me, it comes with a different kind of mindset because I'm very much. If I get discouraged in any kind of way, I use that to drive it. And so with reading and doing that stuff, I have to like it shouldn't be this easy. And so I just don't read a book. I'm just like, no, I can't read a book. Like it's not pushing me in the right way, and I end up getting dumber for it. So I'm pretty dumb.
But I mean, well, I would say that there is a level of insight that comes from here.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from here.
Exactly. From the heart.
You know, in your music that would give the lie to whether you read a book or don't read a book.
Yeah.
You know.
100%.
You know, and you've been talking about the joy you receive from performing. But I did read that initially when you went out to busk, this was not a natural thing for you to do.
Oh no.
Tell me about the first couple times that you went out to play on the street.
Oh man, I used to busk in this city called Claremont because it was like really nice. It was really nice to busk out there, and like, you know, people seemed really nice, and so I would busk out there, and there was this spot I would hide around the corner, and it was right next to a garage, but people would walk down, and I used to like put my guitar case on the side, almost like this will be behind the wall.
Yeah.
My guitar case will be out here. Yeah. And like with the case open, and I'd be like right here.
Behind the wall.
Behind the wall. And so it took me a long time, man. It took me a long time.
How long did it take you to get from behind the wall to like
the front?
in front of the case?
Oh man, it took me about honestly, took me about like 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
About 6 months.
Yeah. What I'm wondering if there were instances where because you know busking can be extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah.
And you gotta kind of have the fortitude to deal with people just ignoring you or whatever. But I'm wondering if there were moments or a moment where someone came up and gave you encouragement.
Yeah. There was this one dude. He was like this skater kid. And he came up to me, and I was playing in Claremont again. And he came up to me, and he's like, you know what, man? I see you here every day, and just keep fucking going. That's what he told me. And I was like, you know what? That's all I needed to hear, because you know, like encouragement for me, you know, is as long as it's that person's coming from the heart, and I accept it, like that's so endearing to me.
Sure.
So when he said that, I really needed to hear it. Because like there's a lot of times as a musician and as someone that is just performing music, you can't really live off that. You know, like you have to be working hard and working jobs and doing, you know, hard labor work sometimes. For me it was. So this hearing only a few words really affected me. Yeah. And to me, like that moment too was really dope, because the guy was, you know, he would stay there and listen to the whole song, and right after just say a few words. And then I'll just be like, damn, like this is awesome. And
you know, on that idea, you came to meet George Lewis Jr., also known as Twin Shadow, who also offered great encouragement. Yeah. Tell me about meeting him and what your friendship and working relationship with him has meant.
Yeah, I mean, him in general he's been, you know. As far as like a musical brother, you know, he's been such an encouraging force in my life, and he gave me my first gig. as like I felt like a real musician. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Like, getting to play music and stuff. Was he did a Prince tribute at Hollywood Forever, and he did a Prince tribute, and it was like it was like sold out, like playing tribute to Prince. Like it was such an amazing day, and like I was helping him set up and everything, and then he just he talked to me. He was like, hey, like you wanna. You've been in Hollywood Forever.
Oh yeah.
So that piano in the Masonic room.
Yeah. Super cool.
Super cool. Yeah. So he was like, "Hey, like you can play on that piano before people walk in, and I'll pay you for it." And I was like, "Awesome!
I'll do that.
I'll do that." And I played for about I think like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And oh man, it was awesome. Plus that venue too, like it's just such a dope venue.
Yeah, it's we did a really cool thing with the National there.
Oh, I love the National.
Couple years ago, it was amazing.
Amazing.
To that point, did you believe that a career in music was possible for you?
No, I didn't. Playing one-off gigs and stuff for so long, or you play like bar gigs, like you don't get paid enough to really do it. And so it was kind of a weird point in my life where I was just creating music and trying to network and trying to do the thing. I was just working still, and lived at friends' houses. Actually, a friend here, like I would sleep on his floor. Yeah. And still writing music at the laptop that George gave me.
Yeah.
And
he did. He helped you get equipment and
he gave me a computer, he gave me an interface, he gave me a guitar. And all he said was just make demos. And I thought, man, like no one has ever given me something, again, going back to that, like I'm always like used to like working like to the point where it's not healthy, where I'm just like working at hard for something. And like, he just like, no, like just make demos. I don't want anything from you. And I thought that was so awesome. And so I would make demos and I would send him like really bad mixed demos and stuff, like scratch tapes. He's like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. You like it? He's like, no. But it was awesome. Like he was. I really believe if he didn't come across my life, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be playing music, and I wouldn't for real. Like I wouldn't be playing music.
Yeah. One of the things, speaking of Idol, but more about the relationships you've developed with musicians. So there was a segment on Idol with you and Ben Harper.
Yeah.
Who's been here? Terrific.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah, Ben Harper. And it seems like you guys had kind of a really a great connection. You made a terrific connection.
Yeah.
With him. First of all, tell me what you admire about him as a musician.
He as a musician, he's very much like when you listen to his records, they're so folky. And then when you listen to his guitar playing live, it's just like this like spirit is just like going through his strings, and you're hearing it, you're like, whoa, like this guy's really in tune with his lyrics. He's in tune with what he's saying, and he really means it. And then like you're talking to him, he's like, yeah, like you want to go like outside and skate and do some tray flips? I'm like, oh, what? The hell? Yeah, he's a really dope dude, and like he's a legend.
Yeah, he does for sure. What kind of did he? Did he offer advice? Or just guidance about being a musician?
Yeah, he was like, especially at that period of time when we were filming, like he doesn't go on TV.
No, you never see the guy.
Never see him on TV. Yeah. And backstage, we were just talking, and we were just talking about normal shit, like. Just talking in a way that I talk to my friends, and he was very much encouraging in the point of saying, just don't ever change for anybody. And for him to say that, being a part of labels and being a part of everything, is really, you really listen, because he's been in the business for a long time, and like seeing someone like that and talking to him and being able to perform with him on the same stage, you're kind of left at this point where you're just you connect, and we connected, and he encouraged me very very wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I met his wife and I met his kid. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's awesome.
That's great.
Like,
it's great.
Still, he invited me to get pancakes and stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Even better.
Yeah, he's dope.
Sign me up.
Yeah, just mention pancakes and I'll be there. Dude.
That makes two of us. So you have the Idol experience happens, and then it comes time to make this record.
Yeah.
And you know what? To kind of jump to the end, when you listen to what you came up with and what you recorded, it is in many respects a departure from what people heard on American Idol in the best way possible. But it is a departure. Tell me about your thinking, having come out of the Idol experience, and now you're being asked, to make an album. Where were you creatively? What did you want to try and do?
I was, coming off of a show. Being truthfully honest, like, can either mentally break you or put you in a state of fear where you're scared to express yourself. And for me, it was at that point where I was like, I'm not used to this. Like, this is so crazy. I'm not used to being in that not weird spotlight, but this amazing opportunity where you're showcasing your music in front of millions of people, which people do not get that opportunity. And coming off of that show, I was like in this state of fear. And so I kind of like, there was a lot of points in my life while even making the record where my writing process is very much like I'm always just, locked away in my room or wherever I'm at, a hotel room and stuff. And I usually like everything dark. And I, open up my laptop and I'm writing. And there was a lot of moments where I would just listen to some of these demos and start crying because I remember where I was when I recorded this demo. I remember what I was when I recorded that lyric. And so when I was listening to each track that you hear on it, it's like kind of like snippets of like little, almost like parts of what I was feeling in that day. And it was a state of fear. And I'm like, I don't want to be fearful of being creative. And I don't want to be afraid of, that state of like being fully into your music. I don't want to be scared.
Yeah.
And so I put out a record that was showcasing everything that I love to make. And there's 20 other styles that I like to make too, and I'll continue to do that because I'm not scared.
Yeah.
The world terrifies me, and the corona is crazy. But, living in that place as an artist, because I have a lot of friends that are in the industry too, and a lot of people that are artists. Like, you have those conversations where there's like, man, like, I feel scared to put out this, this goth record. And it's like, I feel this single is going to be too weird for my audience and stuff. And I feel like, for me, music is internal and external, and it's very much in the universe, and it's everywhere. So I don't want it to be scared to.
Yeah. Well, when you sit down and you listen to the record, fear is not something I hear. When you just the first three tracks, which I wrote down, Black Cross Diamonds, Dance the Night Away. Talk about getting kind of hit, right in the head. No, but in the best way possible. You announce kind of who you are. I'm interested in those songs both in terms of the sonics. Yeah. First of all, tell me about working in the studio. It strikes me that you're someone who likes to experiment.
I love experimenting. Yeah, I record a lot of things that are weird, and I like to put them in my songs and stuff. Yeah, I love experimenting.
Do you, one of the great benefits, and I think one of the great challenges with technology today is for artists, especially the recording artists, the ability to change, enhance, tweak, edit. It's infinite almost, the things that you can do. I'm wondering, for you in making this record, did you know when a song was done?
No. No.
How hard is that?
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. As far as like producers, because I know a lot of producers that are like you know, there's so many producers that are amazing.
Yeah, super talented.
Super talented. You're like, oh, like, you know, for me, you know, I kind of like get in a weird place where I'm like, man, I'm kind of not critiquing, I'm comparing. I'm like, sonically. I'm like, man,
comparing yourself to
and I'm like, I'll hear like, you know, my friend Rob, he's an amazing like piano player and producer. Like, I'll hear his records and his music, I'll be like, man, like I wish I could like make it sound dope like that. And I listen to my record, I'm like, man, it doesn't sound anything like that. And I'm like, it sucks. And then I get to this point where I'm like constantly, you know, rewriting songs or rewriting things. And I think for this record, a lot of the vocal tracks that you hear are like one takes, or like a lot of the stuff. Well, you know, I can bash myself straight into like you know, eternity with the stuff that I can re-record, redo. But I knew like as far as the songs and what they meant to me, so I kind of, you know, just rolled with it. Try to do a lot of one takes and a lot of different things.
I have to ask you because, you know, particularly, you know, those first three songs, you know, Recall, 9 Inch Nails, Ministry, but there was one that got called out at some interview I read with you, Dead Can Dance.
Yeah. Australian band.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, fantastic. Again, not somebody I would have initially put kind of in the bucket with you.
Yeah.
Tell me when you first heard Dead Can Dance and why they so inspire you.
Yeah, when I was 8, my friend had his TV on, and it was, I forgot what the station was called, but it was like a community college station, and they were playing music videos, and I heard The Carnival Is Over, that song.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that music video, and it was so trippy, and listening to it, and I was so entranced.
What's her name is Lisa Gerard, right? Lisa Gerard, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But like that's the first time I heard them, and ever since it's like, you know, you listen to their records, and they're not like, you know, they're long records.
Oh,
but they're so like, you know, if I had to think of like a movie, like what would you put like them into a movie with?
Oh gosh,
like anything that has to do with an elf.
Yeah,
like you know.
But also, I mean, one of the things you've said about your record, and I think you could say the same thing about Dead Can Dance, is taking listeners on a journey.
Yeah,
and they do that
100%,
and you do that too.
Yeah, that's you know, I try to do that.
So the record goes from these first 3 tracks. And then you're into, you know, the more sort of, if you will, acoustically driven. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because, again, you've name checked some people that you know, that I remember. Again, I'm old, and it's surprising to hear coming from you. John Martin, great British singer-songwriter.
Dude's amazing.
As well as slightly better known, but again, a British singer-songwriter, Nick Drake.
Yeah, Pink Moon, man.
You know, these dudes are Mac Daddies in their world. Tell me how you came to know them.
Yeah, I heard Pink Moon when I was like 15.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a random discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like any music that I would like listen to is kind of like in this weird state. Like I'd be at the library just like searching for stuff, and then I'd be like, as I didn't have internet, and so the only time I can use the internet was at the library. And you know, finding these artists was it felt like a discovery that I knew it was there. You know, just like for someone that's never ever listened to like 9 Inch Nails, for instance. Like I mentioned it on the show that I like Trent Reznor.
Sure.
And I know 100% there's so many people that don't know who Trent Reznor is, and they searched him up and be like, whoa, like this is industrial.
Yeah.
But when I listen to industrial, like Trent Reznor, like 9 Inch Nails, that's like, you know, kind of pop industrial. You know, it's like, it's very lighthearted industrial music.
Yeah.
And
you can go much further down that
way
rabbit
further.
hole. Yeah.
You know, but I think like someone like Nick Drake, it's such a beautiful discovery because he was doing alternative tunings that was, you know, like so it was such ahead of its time. And I actually heard a story of how he even like recorded that Pink Moon.
Yeah.
Like his label didn't even know that he mastered it and recorded it. I don't know if this is probably a probably a made up story. So don't quote me on it. But he apparently he made the record and he put it at the front desk.
Just delivered it to them.
Just delivered it, and they didn't know about it. And a week went by, and they found it, and they're like, "Oh, what, what the hell, Nick? This is beautiful.
Way to go!
What are you doing?"
You know, one of the other things that I think you bring to the music and to your music, Chicano and the Latino, in your background, that flavor, if you will. Why is it important to you to bring that through?
I'm honestly just trying to encapture the Gypsy Kings.
All right, well, that works.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I can't because they're dope.
By the way, the Gypsy Kings and maybe others in that style, maybe even Nick Drake, inspiring you in terms of your technique on guitar, because you have a very idiosyncratic method of method of playing guitar.
Thank you.
I know just enough about playing guitar to be dangerous. So so I know something about this.
Yeah, I kind of I don't know why I heard this guy named Ben Howard. You know, heard of Ben Howard.
Sure.
And I think I saw him at Amoeba when he was playing one of his songs called Old Pine. But he would palm the strings.
Yeah, mute the strings.
He would mute it.
Yeah.
And I really was interested in how he was doing that so flawlessly. And when I started picking up guitar, I couldn't do it because my hands, I don't know why. When it came to playing in that way, it would just sound really clunky. So I started strumming and then, stopped playing guitar for a little bit, picked it up again, and tried a different way. And then I started tapping the second string and muting it with my palm. And so it kind of gradually became this style.
Yeah. It's yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. I get the feeling that there are any number of people who would rather be doing this interview than me. That that said, it's one thing. And by the way, when you're working, I know we talked about experimenting, but at some point, especially writing songs, do you prefer to work quickly? Is it better for you to kind of get it out and do it rather than labor over it?
Yeah, it usually comes in sporadic ideas.
Yeah,
and I just record something that's in my head, and then I'll get to a new session and just record whatever I have in my head there, and then come back to those ideas, and then start developing drum beats, and then get back to bass and do all that stuff. But it usually starts off just with guitar and vocal, and that's it.
Well, I'm imagining you're basically self-taught when it comes to kind of working in the box and working on your laptop.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Ableton is my main DAW, so it's such an instrument.
Yeah,
figuring that out was a tough one.
That's not simple.
Not simple.
Yeah.
I'm pretty dumb. Couldn't figure it out.
But you did. You got it figured out. I do want to talk about performance, a little bit, because again, it's one thing to record the songs and learn Ableton and do all that stuff. It's another thing entirely when you have to stand out here and deliver it to an audience. And you had this remarkable experience where you went from playing small gigs and clubs and whatever around Los Angeles to Idol to, next thing you know, Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
So tell me about kind of the learning curve that happens in terms of your performance.
Yeah. So even before American Idol, I was with George Lewis Jr. and Twin Shadow.
Yeah.
My first gig was as far as musician when he asked me to go on tour with him, was playing in front of Beck, in front of a sold out crowd.
Opening for Beck.
Opening for Beck. Yeah. But I was playing synthesizer, I was playing bass, I was triggering drum samples with an SPD pad, and I was singing. So it was I was doing all that, and that was my first gig. And then played a few festivals, and then went on tour again with him.
Yeah.
So I had experience knowing how to approach a festival, how to approach, playing music live and what works and what doesn't work. And so when I did American Idol and coming after the show, playing these shows I was feeling kind of I was very grateful for the opportunity, but I know there are so many bands that struggle to even get a 12 p.m. slot at Lollapalooza. Like, you know, there was a lot of things that I felt like I jumped over. So when I got to that point when I was playing Lollapalooza, I was like out of this world grateful. And it felt like an endearing moment just to, you know, kind of like look back on it and not to take it for granted and understand exactly why I'm doing it, and is to play music and just to always, you know, show respect to other bands that play locally that are, you know, freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And like deserve that spot where I was playing, you know? Like we all, like music is so universal. And so when I played those slots, like played Lollapalooza, then all of a sudden I'm playing like Austin City Limits, like when I would play these festivals, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm supposed to be playing at like the Echo right now, like trying to get these people at 7 p.m. like to come to the show.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like.
And now you're on stage at some giant.
Yeah, exactly.
Festival.
You know, like I'm used to going to the Echo. I'm used to going to shows. I'm used to going to, you know, like warehouse shows and backyard shows and like just experiencing music. And so when you get pushed into a festival stage, you're kind of like, man, like, how the heck did I get here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it is, like, honestly, being a musician and being in a band is a struggle. And playing those slots, I did not take for granted. And I really, really enjoyed it. And plus, I got to play with some people that I really care about. And so it was, like, all around, like, such a great feeling. So, yeah.
You mentioned, you know, being on tour opening for Beck. So you had this opportunity probably to watch Beck.
Oh man,
you know, for the entirety of a tour, and I'm wondering what you took away from that. What did you learn from watching him?
His stage presence, you know, he just knows how to work a crowd, and his music is so amazing.
Yeah.
And seeing the musicians that he works with, because it's hard if you're playing your music, and you have, you know, a 14 piece. Like I think he had 12 people on stage.
Yeah, he's got lots of folks.
Lots of people, and you know, putting that trust into them and playing it to the full capacity to me was insane. Plus their lighting wall and everything was also dope.
And I want to talk to you about that because I know visuals are important to you.
Yeah.
Before I get to that, so now you've had the experience. I mean, you've been out, you know, touring and playing, whether it's with the band or an acoustic tour. Now you're going to Europe. Have the songs changed?
Yeah. The songs, I think in my psychotic brain, they always change.
How so?
They'll never, like, I don't know, I hear, like, sometimes I'll play live or we'll be practicing and I hear, like, a little synthesizer part or want to add, like, a breakdown to it or add, like, a sequencer to something. But it's, like, being on tour is so hard to do that. Yeah. That I'm like, I had to stop myself. I'm like, okay, you're just changing the song.
Yeah.
It's
not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. Yeah.
As I mentioned, you're about to go off to Europe.
Yeah.
What are your expectations? I mean, what are you looking forward to in terms of Europe?
Just new environment, just like anything. When I first toured, like when I went on tour with Twin Shadow, that was the first time ever me being outside of California. So, it kind of put me in this headspace for when touring comes, especially for these UK dates and stuff. Like, you know, just take it in and experience the city. I'm really excited for that, and I'm kind of like a dork, and I like seeing what monuments are there, and it's like, you know, exploring.
That's the other thing. You know, when you go to Europe, you realize, you know, you're walking around and you're looking at buildings and you look up and go, oh, that was built in 1374. You know, and then you come back to Los Angeles and go, ooh, look, 1975. Wow. You know, it's like you realize that there was a whole world long before anybody thought of Los Angeles.
Oh, this is a 2016 McDonald's.
Yeah,
great.
Right. And that's a, you know, historical landmark here in Los Angeles.
Totally historical.
And I mean that in the most positive way possible.
Yep. McDonald's.
So we talked about visuals.
Yep.
Talked about visuals. Which are you know, important to you. Your videos, you know, are obviously kind of well thought through. You know, tell me about why the visual aspect is important to you.
With any artist, you know, you want to kind of relay those lyrics onto a screen, and so for me, it is important to fully express yourself visually as far as sonically. So I think for each music video that I've done, you know, like the last one I did, it was kind of like in a skate shop called Program.
Yeah.
And I remember, like my nephews here, we go to shows there all the time. And like, we go to shows and we watch bands play. And I was like, man, I really want to showcase this place because I think it's dope that local skate shops even put on hardcore shows while their shop is still open. Yeah. You know how like crazy that is? And that's dope. That's so dope. It's like,
it's kind of inviting mayhem is what it is. Yeah.
No, like you go to like if you go to like some like bougie neighborhood, you're not gonna get some like restaurant like opening up their spot and like here's a hardcore band playing right here. Yeah. Like people are trying to eat. It's like no.
Yeah. Enjoy your truffle pizza.
Yeah. But it was cool to kind of like make a video there because I knew I had so much good times there. And so I really wanted to kind of capture a music video that had to do with something that I'm trying to express at a place that lets other people express themselves fully. And it's just awesome.
So last question, then we're going to get to the good stuff. You talked about the album as a journey. I would suggest that you have been on a remarkable and ongoing journey. Where do you see yourself going? Where do you want to take your music?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's a hard question,
Sure. It's my job.
You're good. You're so good. I think musically, I want to just be happy with knowing what I'm creating is coming from an honest place, And I think wherever you do, in life should be like that, And I kind of know the way I am personally, and I really am fighting to be 100% myself. And it's honestly, it's been a crazy struggle for me.
Yeah.
And coming off of a show, kind of put me in this weird headspace that I'm still struggling, But I'm figuring out for myself, like, living day by day and understanding what the main point is, and coming to grasp that has really been helping me out. So I see if my music is fully punk in 5 years, then I know that's where it should be. If my music is fully classical in 2 years, then that's where it should be. But I feel like every day is so mysterious.
Yeah.
So might as well just take it day by day. So that's how I'm taking my music.
Well, first of all, we're so grateful that you took the time. It is a terrific record.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, more power to the future mystery of what you're going to do. But I know myself and all these folks look forward to hearing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Scarypoolparty.
Thank you.